Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Vocabulary Cramming. Here's Aries. Well, the title scares you guys away, right? It won't be that boring. It is Vocabulary Cramming with illustrations. So today we're going to talk about geology. Recently, China launched a new space station, which is the first space station China ever launched. And human beings have always been very curious about what is above us, meaning the space. But what is underneath us? First, the layer which we are currently standing at is called the crust. The crust is the lightweight outer layer of Earth consisting of rocks. And crust belongs to a sphere of the Earth called lithosphere, the solid part of Earth, including rocks, sediment, and soil. And a little bit beneath that is called the asthenosphere. Asthenosphere is a layer of upper mantle that consists of soft rock. Asthenosphere belongs to a part of the Earth called mantle. Mantle is a flexible layer of rock that lies beneath the crust. And if we go deeper, we go to the core of the Earth, which is the innermost part of the Earth, made up mostly of iron. I can illustrate this with a tree ring. This is a tree ring, and if we see number 1 is the outermost part of the Earth and 8 is the innermost part of the Earth, number 1 would be crust. Number 1 and 2 would be lithosphere. 3 would be asthenosphere. 3 to 6 would be mantle, 7 and 8 would be core. 7 would be the outer core, and 8 would be the inner core. The Earth is not a giant single continual plate. It is like a puzzle made up of a lot of pieces. And in geology, we call these pieces plates. Plate tectonics is a theory describing the movement of plates on Earth's surface, on Earth's lithosphere instead. There are 3 types of plate boundary. Number 1 is divergent plate boundary, where divergent plate boundary is where two tectonic plates push away from each other. And you guys have probably noticed that the eastern part of South American plate and South America and west part of Africa are somehow complementary. And it was thought that they used to stick together, but tectonic plate movement ripped them apart. The plate boundary between them is a divergent plate boundary, which is called the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. The second type of plate boundary is called convergent plate boundary. Convergent plate boundary is where 2 tectonic plates meet and one of them forced beneath the other through a process called subduction. A very good example of this is the boundary between the country Chile and Pacific Ocean. Convergent plate boundary is known for having a series of volcanoes. And along the coastal line of Chile, there's 108 volcanoes. That happens because as the subduction plate goes deeper and deeper, the molten rock erupts along the plate to which the subduction plate is forced beneath. The third type of boundary is called transform plate boundary. Transform plate boundary is where two tectonic plates slide past each other and cause friction. Transform plate boundary is very different from divergent and convergent because it neither creates or destroys crust. A very famous example of this is San Andreas Fault in California. North American plate and Pacific plate are sliding past each other at a rate about 6 centimeters per year. That means about 1 million years later, Los Angeles and San Francisco will be side by side. And transform plate boundary is known for having having a lot of earthquakes. So California is also known as a very famous seismic belt. Finishing talking about earthquakes, which is a geological hazard, let's move on to another type of geological hazard. Mass wasting and landslide. Mass wasting is the downslope movement of soil and rock due to gravity, whereas landslide is the most common type of mass wasting occurring when a large amount of soil and rock collapse downhill. They sound very similar, right? Well, the difference is between movement and collapse. So mass wasting can be very, very slow, like a melting ice cream, whereas landslides are generally more sudden and severe, like you open a cupboard and suddenly all the eating utensils just fall out. If you guys still remember convergent plate boundary, which is where two plates meet and one sinks beneath the other, that only happens when one plate is more dense than the other, and that more dense plate is the sinking one. But what happens when two plates have similar or identical density? When this happens, they will meet and both crumple and create an uplift. This is called continental collision. Continental collision usually creates mountain ranges, and you'll be surprised to know that is how Mount Everest is formed. Mount Everest is currently growing at a rate about 4 millimeters per year. Finishing talking about the big pictures, let's move on to some smaller things. Minerals and rocks. Mineral is any natural occurring solid or inorganic compound with 1. Crystal structure, 2. A specific chemical composition, and 3. Distinct physical properties. And rock is made of a lot of minerals. That is similar to how you have chopped onions, chopped cucumbers, and chopped bell peppers, and you have a big plate of salad. Rock is like the salad, and mineral is like those things I just mentioned. There are 3 types of rocks: metamorphic, sedimentary, and igneous. Metamorphic rock is the type of rock which alters form as a result of heat or pressure. Sedimentary rock is compacted sediment glued together by seeping minerals, and igneous rock is cooled magma or lava. And I have 3 pictures here. I'm now trying to match the word with the picture based on the definitions. So let's do metamorphic rock first. Metamorphic rock says it is the type of rock which alters form as a result of heat or pressure. So I suppose it has a lot of layers, and then I suppose it looks like lasagna. Sedimentary rock is compacted sediment glued together by seeping minerals. Then I suppose it consists of both sediment and minerals. Then I suppose it looks like nut bread. Igneous rock is cooled magma or lava. Lava is in liquid form and it has water, so I suppose it has a lot of bubbles. Then I think it looks like cheese. Okay, so now let's match these 6 pictures, okay? Lasagna, I think it looks like this. Nut bread, I think it looks like this. And the porous cheese, I think it goes with this picture. Okay, let's check our answer. Bingo! Lasagna, nut bread, and porous cheese. Okay, let's review. Heat or pressure, forms layer, seeping minerals, magma or lava. Metamorphic rocks are found deep underground, where the temperature is lower than the melting point, of the rock, but high enough to alter any physical properties and appearance. That is where the heat and pressure come from. Sedimentary rock can be useful in archaeology, surprisingly, because sediment layers pile up over time, and scientists can infer the age of fossils by assigning the dates to the sedimentary rock that surrounds the fossil. For igneous rock, there are two classes of igneous rock, intrusive and extrusive. Intrusive rock is formed underground, where magma will undergo a slow cooling process that makes the rock multicolored, which is this picture. And a very famous example of this is granite. Whereas extrusive rock formed when molten rocks erupt through volcanoes. That means the extrusive ones are formed underground. The lava will bubble on the ground, giving the rock the coarse cheese-like. And this picture also reminds me of another type of food, which is blue cheese. Okay, so now we move on to rock cycle. The rock cycle is the process of continuous transformations and reassemblies of rock. Let's say you are an igneous rock today, okay? And if you're like, oh, I'm so tired of being an igneous rock, I want to be something else. You can. If you are heated and pressurized, you will turn yourself into a metamorphic rock. But if in the future, in the day, and you're like, I'm so sick of being a metamorphic rock, I want to be something else, you can. Through a process of weathering and erosion, you will turn yourself into sediments. And after being a sediment and going through a series of weathering and erosion, you would turn yourself into sedimentary rock. And if there's a day and you're like, I want to be what I used to be, you can turn yourself back into metamorphic rock. Okay, so now we're going to talk about geology from a perspective that has a little bit of human intervention. Ore. Ore is the coarse and raw grouping of minerals from which we extract metals. So you notice the word extract. That means metals are not dug up. They're extracted, or in another word, processed. For instance, we all know that computers or MacBook is made of silicon. But you cannot just dig up a piece of ore and make a computer out of it. You need to extract the silicon in the ore and then make a laptop. And smelting is a process which ore is heated beyond its melting point to combine with other metals or chemicals to have a desired characteristic. A very famous example of this will be alloy. Alloy is two or more types of chemicals and metals through a process of smelting, and you combine those chemicals or metals together and you have an alloy. That is how steel is made. Steel is mostly made of iron and carbon, and iron and carbon will go through a smelting process to combine themselves with other chemicals or metals to form steel. Tailings are the portions of ore leftovers after metals have been extracted. And surface impoundment is where toxic leftovers of metal extraction go, usually designed to prevent collapse and leaking. So this is the trash part, and this is the trash can. Okay, say you want to have orange juice and you have a juicer. You squeeze the juice, you blend the juice, and now you have a glass of juice. And the pulp is the part of the fruit that you don't want, and the pulp is the tailings. And the pulp will go to a container I guess it is here, and the container should never ever be porous because you don't want to spill out anything. And the container in this case is the surface impoundment. Okay, that is all for this time for geology. Thanks for watching.